Welcome back to our thrilling journey in the world of Hidden Leaf Village. We're about to dive into the action-packed Chapter 4, The Hidden Leaf's Future. In this exciting chapter, we join our young protagonist Hiroshi as he embarks on a new path, his very first day at ninja school. The road to becoming a ninja is steeped in trials and tribulations. But Hiroshi isn't just any student. His tenacity and extraordinary talents lead to an array of unexpected events. While Hiroshi navigates through the altered reality of the Hidden Leaf Village, the comforting warmth of family provides solace. However, in this ever-changing world, surprises lurk around every corner. Unforeseen encounters and shocking revelations shake the very core of Hiroshi's world. Prepare for an emotional roller coaster filled with adventure, mystery, and high stakes in Chapter 4, The Hidden Leaf's Future. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to join us on this gripping adventure through the Hidden Leaf Village. Chapter 4, The Hidden Leaf's Future. The sun arose on the Hidden Leaf Village, casting its warm light on the day that marked a significant transition in Hiroshi's life. Now 6 years old, Hiroshi was on the cusp of his first day at the Ninja Academy. He felt a tumult of excitement interspersed with nervous anticipation. However, there was a depth to his emotions, an understanding of the weighty knowledge he bore and the profound implications it had. His mother, keenly aware of the considerable leap their son was about to undertake, was riddled with worry. As the day advanced, she found herself repeatedly cautioning Hiroshi, "You must remember, Hiroshi, to remain under the radar. It's not merely your safety we're concerned about, it extends to our entire family." Hiroshi, with his earnest and intelligent blue eyes, nodded solemnly. Over the past year, he had worked tirelessly on his training, managing to augment his chakra reserves, refine his chakra control, and even master advanced techniques such as the Shadow Clone and the Rasengan. Although these accomplishments were a testament to his dedication and talent, they also meant that he risked drawing undue attention to himself, an eventuality his mother cautioned him against frequently. "But why, Mama?" Hiroshi queried, his mind reverting back to their numerous dialogues concerning the so-called forbidden topics. "Why must I suppress my true self?" His mother's gaze was fraught with a blend of pride and fear as she answered, "You are different, Hiroshi. Because we chose not to mold you into the perfect leaf child, we allowed your curiosity to flourish, we nurtured your thirst for knowledge, and we encouraged you to question the world around you. And that makes you a threat to the leaf because you refuse to accept everything at face value." Her words seemed to echo in the room, weighing heavily in the air. Hiroshi, despite his tender age, understood her concerns. At the academy, he would need to exercise caution. He could not afford to voice the myriad of questions constantly brewing in his mind, nor could he freely express his opinions. He needed to assimilate. As the day drew to a close, Hiroshi's parents decided to assess his chakra nature. Observing the chakra paper crumble into shreds upon his touch, indicating a wind nature, was like a sweet déjà vu for Hiroshi. His chakra nature was the same as in his previous life as Naruto Uzumaki. This familiar territory provided him with an advantage as he was already acquainted with wind-release jutsus, but it was another secret to guard, another truth he had to keep hidden. The current Hokage, Kaido Hyuga, had been clear in his directives. The leaf didn't care about having skilled ninjas, in fact, they welcomed them. Skilled ninjas enhanced their military prowess and lent the village a formidable presence. What the leadership did not tolerate, however, was knowledge of forbidden truths. These could undermine their authority, disrupt the carefully maintained status quo, and potentially endanger the village's tightly held secrets. As Hiroshi watched the setting sun paint hues of orange and red across the sky, he felt a whirlwind of emotions, excitement for the upcoming adventure, disappointment at the necessity for secrecy, and a resolve that was more robust than ever. The leaf may have morphed into something different, but his spirit, the spirit of Naruto Uzumaki, remained unwavering. Tomorrow marked the start of his journey as a Ninja Academy student and a custodian of forbidden truths. His resolve was as unyielding as ever. He would protect his loved ones and the truth, no matter the cost. The morning air was crisp and fresh as Hiroshi made his way to the academy, a bundle of nervous energy. His mother's words of caution replayed in his mind as he approached the imposing building. Every student he passed seemed just as anxious and excited as him, their eyes gleaming with anticipation for the journey that lay ahead. Once inside, Hiroshi was directed to his classroom. He took a deep breath, steeled his nerves, and pushed the door open. The room buzzed with the chatter of his future classmates, their youthful voices melding into a cacophony of excitement and trepidation. Hiroshi's entrance, however, brought an abrupt silence. He scanned the room, spotting a few familiar faces from around the village. The teacher, a stern-looking woman with glasses, gestured him to the front. "Introduce yourself," she said, her voice echoing in the silence. Hiroshi cleared his throat and stepped forward, locking eyes with his classmates. "Hello, my name is Hiroshi," he began, trying to appear as normal as possible. He wanted to be seen as just another student, despite the storms raging inside him. The teacher prodded, "Tell us about your likes, dislikes, and your dream, Hiroshi." He thought for a moment, keeping his mother's advice in mind. "I like ramen," he said, a smile forming at the corner of his lips as memories of his past life flooded back. This was a truth that was safe to share. "My dislikes are traitors," Hiroshi continued, a surge of emotion making his voice firm. His heart ached at the memories of past betrayals and his experiences with traitors. "And my dream," Hiroshi paused for a moment, weighing his words carefully, "is to become a powerful ninja and serve the Hidden Leaf Village." As he uttered these words, he could feel the eyes of the class on him. There was silence, and then a smattering of applause broke out. His answer was a perfect echo of the Leaf's ideal student. Internally, however, Hiroshi was battling with the duality of his existence. He was living a double life, one as a seemingly brainwashed Leaf student, and the other as a bearer of forbidden knowledge. But he knew he needed to walk this tightrope for the sake of his safety and that of his family. As he returned to his seat, Hiroshi couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. He had survived his first interaction in this new environment while managing to stay under the radar. However, he was acutely aware that this was just the beginning of a long and challenging journey. The day's first lesson was history, a topic Hiroshi was both looking forward to and dreading. He knew the true history of the Hidden Leaf, but he was also aware that the truth had been twisted and rewritten to suit the Hyuga clan's narrative. The teacher began the lesson with a solemn expression. "Children, today we will delve into the recent past of our village. We'll learn about the Fourth Great Ninja War and the roles played by key individuals." Hiroshi listened attentively, masking his growing unease as she started weaving the distorted version of the events. His heart pounded in his chest as he heard his past self and Sasuke painted as rogue ninjas fighting against the great allied shinobi force. Naruto, the seventh Hokage, was depicted as a dangerous usurper who molded the village in his image after winning the war. The rightful rulers, the Hyuga clan, the teacher continued, regained control by bravely assassinating the rogue Hokage in his sleep, restoring peace and order to the Hidden Leaf. Hiroshi clenched his fists under the table, shock and anger coursing through him. This was pure propaganda. He had to bite his tongue to stop from lashing out at the blatant lies. The teacher then showered praises on the Hyuga clan. "The Hyuga clan has always been our protectors," she declared, her voice echoing in the room. "They are our heroes, our saviors." Hiroshi forced himself to breathe slowly, to keep his face calm and composed. Internally, however, he was seething. This was a far cry from the truth, a twisted tale designed to control and manipulate the young minds. But he couldn't afford to voice out his thoughts. He had to remember his mother's warning, he had to blend in. The lesson seemed to drag on endlessly, and when the bell finally rang, signaling the end of the class, Hiroshi felt a wave of relief wash over him. Nevertheless, the feelings of anger and injustice clung to him. The hidden leaf was entangled in a web of lies, and the truth was the forbidden fruit that had the potential to unravel it all. Hiroshi found himself looking forward to the physical education period. It was the one area where he didn't need to suppress his knowledge or skills. Here, he could let his actions speak for themselves. The school day continued, and soon it was time for physical education. Hiroshi had been waiting for this. While he had to suppress his knowledge in the classroom, his combat skills were one thing he didn't have to hide. The children were divided into pairs for sparring matches while the teacher, a stern-looking woman, kept a close eye on them. When it was Hiroshi's turn, the air in the room seemed to thicken with anticipation. With a quiet nod from the teacher, the sparring began. Hiroshi moved with a grace and speed that belied his age. His movements were fluid and precise, dodging and blocking attacks effortlessly, striking at openings with an accuracy that left his classmates gaping. It was as if he possessed years of combat experience and a sixth sense for detecting danger. The teacher watched in amazement. "Hiroshi," she called, her voice carrying a note of admiration, "face against these 3 students." The 3 students advanced, but Hiroshi remained unfazed. He seemed to feel the energy around him, hear the slightest of sounds, perceive the faintest shift in the wind. He anticipated attacks with uncanny accuracy, swiftly countering them while maintaining a steady offensive. The room echoed with gasps of surprise and murmurs of disbelief. Finally, the teacher raised her hand, signaling the end of the match. Hiroshi straightened, his face flushed but calm. A murmuring rose among his classmates, while the teacher offered a nod of approval. "Excellent, Hiroshi," she said. She was clearly pleased, and there was a spark in her eyes that wasn't there before. If she could produce a prodigy, it might reflect positively on her, perhaps even lead to a promotion. Hiroshi felt a sense of satisfaction. His physical abilities were indeed something he could freely demonstrate. The hidden leaf appreciated strength and potential, and he would use this to his advantage. After all, he was not just any 6-year-old. He was Naruto Uzumaki reincarnated, and he was on a mission to restore his village. As the day progressed, Hiroshi found himself looking forward to the physical education period. It was the one area where he didn't need to suppress his knowledge or skills. Here, he could let his actions speak for themselves. Hiroshi's homecoming was marked by the warmth of the sunset's hues blending into the welcoming aroma of his mother's cooking. Stepping inside their humble abode, the events of the day weighed heavily on his young shoulders. A firm believer in honesty, he intended to share the day's happenings with his mother, even the disturbing history lesson. With dinner steaming on the table, Hiroshi broached the subject. He began recounting the day's events, from the physical education period to the classroom introductions. When he finally touched upon the distorted history lesson, he made sure to lower his voice, despite the safety of their home. His mother's expression gradually changed as Hiroshi relayed the lesson's contents. Her eyebrows knitted together, her lips pressed into a thin line, and her hand clenched the tablecloth unconsciously. The version of the Hidden Leaf's history she had known all her life was being challenged by her own son. "But Hiroshi," she started, her voice shaky. This is what we have been taught all our life. The Hyuga clan, they are our protectors. They saved the village." Seeing his mother's disbelieving eyes, Hiroshi felt a pang of sadness. It was hard to watch her grapple with the inconsistencies in the history she had grown up with and what he, her son, was revealing. She was struggling to accept this, her deeply ingrained beliefs being called into question. "But Mama," Hiroshi implored, reaching out to hold her trembling hands. "I know it's hard to believe, but the history we've been taught, it's been manipulated." His mother's face reflected a battle of emotions. Disbelief, confusion, and fear shadowed her features. This moment was a stark reminder of how potent the power of misinformation could be. Undoing years of brainwashing was proving to be more challenging than Hiroshi had anticipated. Just after dinner, there was a knock on the door. 2 Ombu Black Ops stood at the entrance of their home. With their voices carrying a cold, lethal authority, they announced. "We have orders to bring the boy with us." Naruto stepped forward, confusion etched onto his face. "Did I do something wrong?" One of the Anbu spoke, his voice as emotionless as his mask. "This is a direct order from the Hokage. It cannot be disobeyed." Hiroshi's mother, stepping in front of her son, responded firmly, "You cannot take our son from us. Tell us what is your intention." The Anbu, refusing to provide details, stated that disobeying a direct order from the Hokage was punishable by death. With these words still hanging in the air, one of the Anbu attacked Naruto's mother. As a trained ninja herself, she was quick to avoid the strike. Naruto's father responded by launching a surprise attack, successfully taking down the first Anbu. The second Anbu was not so easily defeated. He managed to block and evade the combined attacks from Naruto's parents. That's when Naruto stepped in. He created 5 shadow clones and launched into a coordinated attack. While his mother used a fire-style fireball jutsu as a distraction, Naruto hit the Anbu with a Rasengan. The Anbu fell, dead. In the wake of the deadly encounter, Naruto and his parents quickly hid the bodies and began packing their belongings. If the 2 Anbu didn't return, someone would come looking. They had to leave the Hidden Leaf village immediately. As they were about to leave, Naruto asked in a quiet, fearful voice, "Are they going to kill me?" The silence that followed was more unsettling than any words could have been. Amidst the panic and confusion, Naruto turned to his mother, his eyes filled with fear and uncertainty. "Did they find out about my knowledge? Is there an execution order for me?" he asked, his voice shaking. "We don't know, Naruto," his mother answered, her own voice filled with worry. "But now isn't the time to investigate. Our safety comes first," she finished, her eyes meeting Naruto's father's across the room. The man nodded grimly, echoing his wife's sentiment. "We cannot just rush the gate without a plan. They will not let us through. But how about jumping over the walls?" Naruto's mother suggested, sounding desperate. "The walls are too high," Naruto's father countered. "They will spot us for sure." Naruto, who had been listening quietly to his parents, spoke up. "What if we don't rush in or jump the walls? What if we sneak around, taking them out one at a time and use transformation jutsu to disguise ourselves?" His parents stared at him, taken aback by the maturity and cleverness of his plan. Naruto didn't stop there. "Also, where are we going after this?" We don't know yet," his mother admitted, a weary look on her face. "Right now, our main priority is to get out of the Hidden Leaf village. We don't know how much time we have before they discover the bodies." Moving stealthily towards the village gate, the family found only one guard standing watch. "Looks like our lucky day," Hiroshi's father whispered, a hint of relief in his voice. With swift and practiced moves, they incapacitated the guard. Hiroshi's mother quickly performed a transformation jutsu and took on the guard's appearance. "Now, let's deal with the next one," she murmured, heading back towards the gate. Walking confidently, she lured out another guard. Once he was away from the gate, Hiroshi's father, too, transformed into the guard's appearance after a quick takedown. Finally, all 3 of them, disguised as guards, slipped through the village gate. Once they crossed the boundary of the Hidden Leaf village, Hiroshi could barely contain his relief. "We did it, we've escaped," he said, looking back at the village one last time. His mother nodded, her face stern. "But we need to keep moving. They'll discover the guards soon." Naruto's father pointed towards the west. "The Sand Village. It's the closest. We should head there." And with that, they set off, fugitives in their own land, heading towards the unknown. As they approached the looming guard tower, they noticed an elite guard stationed there. These guards were renowned for their keen perception and battle-hardened skills, posing a serious challenge. As they drew closer, the guard's eyes narrowed in suspicion. Recognizing the signature of the transformation jutsu, he shouted, "Halt!" His voice pierced the quiet night air as he swiftly dispatched a messenger bird to alert the village and summon reinforcements. But Hiroshi and his parents weren't about to wait for the backup to arrive. With a shared glance of understanding, they sprang into action. The fight wasn't going to be easy. They were up against an elite guard, after all. Hiroshi's father attacked first, aiming a powerful punch at the guard. The guard skillfully parried the attack but didn't anticipate Hiroshi's mother coming from his blind side with a well-timed kick. He narrowly evaded, only for Hiroshi himself to join the fray, using the distraction to land a hit. Despite his skill and experience, the elite guard was starting to falter under their relentless onslaught. Finally, a joint strike from Hiroshi and his mother landed, catching the guard off guard. He grunted in surprise and crumpled to the ground, unconscious. The family didn't waste a moment. Leaving the guard tower and the downed elite guard behind, they pressed on. Their escape was far from over, and they needed to cross the border before the guard's absence was noticed. The escape from the Leaf Village had taken a sudden, chilling turn as Hiroshi and his parents neared the border. The dense forest provided a shield from prying eyes, but it couldn't protect them from the Umbu Black Ops that lay in wait. Without warning, Hiroshi's father was ensnared in a net of razor-sharp wires that sprang from the undergrowth. As he struggled, the wires contracted, slicing through him with horrifying efficiency. Hiroshi could only watch in horror as his father's life was brutally extinguished. The sound of rustling leaves announced the arrival of the Umbu Black Ops, 10 of them, their faces hidden behind animal masks. Their leader stepped forward, his voice cold and unfeeling. "Kill the woman. We need the boy alive." Hiroshi's mother moved to shield him, fire in her eyes. With a rapid sequence of hand signs, she performed the fire style, Fire Dragon Jutsu. A jet of flame erupted from her mouth, a blazing dragon that tore through two Umbu operatives, leaving charred husks behind. At the same time, Hiroshi marshaled his own offensive. Drawing upon his chakra, he summoned a horde of shadow clones. Each clone was infused with the swirling energy of the Rasengan, Hiroshi's signature move. With a cry, they lunged at the remaining Umbu. The Rasengan hit home, sending an Umbu flying backward, his mask shattered. However, their numbers were overwhelming. While his mother was engaged with another operative, one of the Umbu managed to slip past her guard. With a swift, brutal strike, he plunged a kunai into her heart. "Mama!" Hiroshi's anguished cry echoed through the forest. His heart contracted as he watched her fall, her eyes meeting his one last time. "Be strong, Hiroshi," she whispered. "I love you." Galvanized by grief and anger, Hiroshi threw himself back into the fray. His Rasengan claimed another Umbu, but the tide was turning against him. A powerful blow caught him unawares, and his world began to spin. As he fell, the remaining Umbu moved quickly, affixing a sealing tag to his forehead. His chakra cut off, Hiroshi could only watch helplessly as darkness crept in. He had lost everything, and now he was captured. As unconsciousness claimed him, one question echoed in his mind: what would happen now? Hiroshi woke up to an environment far removed from the forest battlefield where he'd lost consciousness. He was in a sterile, prison-like room that also bore a striking resemblance to a hospital. He was lying on a bed, his body covered in bandages, a clear indication that someone had been tending to his injuries. His heart pounded in his chest, the memories of the previous night's events crashing down on him like a tidal wave. With a guttural cry, Hiroshi surged upright, his voice echoing in the stark room. "I will kill all of you. You bastards killed my parents." His outburst was met with the swift arrival of several Umbu operatives, their cold, masked faces displaying no emotion. Behind them entered a figure that Hiroshi instinctively recognized, the man in charge, the Hokage. "I presume you know who I am," the Hokage began, his voice calm but authoritative. With a glare, Hiroshi answered, "You are the Hokage." Then, his anger flaring anew, he demanded, "Why did you order the death of my parents?" The Hokage sighed, a hint of regret flashing in his eyes. "I did not." I only ordered the Umbu to bring you to me by any means necessary. I didn't think it would lead to this. I am sorry for your loss. Hiroshi couldn't contain his emotions. He spat out threats and accusations, the words lashing out like a whip. The Umbu operatives immediately adopted fighting stances, ready to subdue him, but the Hokage raised his arm, signaling them to stand down. The reason I wanted to see you, the Hokage continued, is because your school lab data showed that you carry the Uzumaki bloodline. We need the high chakra reserves of an Uzumaki. Time is running out. What for? Hiroshi demanded, his anger simmering down to a wary curiosity. Look at the seal on your stomach, the Hokage instructed. Hiroshi looked down, and his heart froze. There, etched into his skin, was a seal. He was a Jinchuriki. The Hokage explained, you are now a weapon for the Hidden Leaf. You're not allowed to roam the village freely. You will be treated with respect, like a king, but you are, in essence, a prisoner. Hiroshi was left staring at the seal on his stomach, a chilling reality setting in. His life had taken another drastic turn. Would he ever find a way out of this nightmare? The Hokage continued, his tone somber as he laid out the grim reality. Our last Jinchuriki has been on life support for the past 20 years, his life slowly ebbing away. We've been desperately searching for a new host for the Nine Tails, but we needed someone with enough chakra reserves to contain its immense power. No one met our requirements, until we found you, an Uzumaki. Hiroshi's breath hitched. The Nine Tails. The very beast he had carried in his previous life was now sealed within him again. History had repeated itself, but in the cruelest of ways. The Hokage's next words sent a shiver down Hiroshi's spine. Now that we have our Jinchuriki, we can finally win this war. A war. Hiroshi felt a sinking feeling in his gut. The Hidden Leaf was in a war, and he was their secret weapon. But who were they fighting against? Why had things escalated to such a point? The revelation of being a Jinchuriki again hit Hiroshi like a punch. He was once again bound to the Nine Tails, his life tied to a creature of immense power and wrath. And yet, there was an odd familiarity, a strange sense of continuity from his past life. He had tamed the Nine Tails once, could he do it again? Tears welled up in Hiroshi's eyes. The world swam in a blurry haze as a torrent of emotions overwhelmed him. Anger at the Hyuga clan and the Umbu for their atrocities, despair over his parents' death, fear of the uncertain future, and the crushing weight of his new responsibilities. Suddenly, he felt more alone than ever. His family was gone, and he was a prisoner in his own village, his freedom stripped away and his life dedicated to a cause he didn't fully understand. Yet, within him, a tiny flame of resolve flickered. He would not allow his circumstances to define him. He would not let his life be controlled by others. If he was to be the Hidden Leaf's weapon, he would be one that they could not wield as they pleased. He would fight, for his parents, for his freedom, and for the truth. As Hiroshi grappled with the earth-shattering revelations, he felt the Nine Tails stir within him. A familiar sense of unease seeped into his consciousness, reminding him of the daunting task that lay ahead. In the silence of the prison-like hospital room, Hiroshi found himself alone with his thoughts. The Hokage and the Umbu had left, leaving him to come to terms with his new reality. His eyes were drawn to the darkened window. Outside, the Hidden Leaf village lay in peaceful slumber, oblivious to the turmoil brewing within its borders and within him. It was a cruel irony. The village that was once his home was now his prison. The people who were once his friends and family were now either dead or had turned against him. The harsh truth gnawed at his heart. He was a tool, a weapon, and a prisoner, all at the same time. His freedom, his choices, his life, were all stripped away in a heartbeat. However, as despair threatened to consume him, Hiroshi's thoughts drifted back to his parents' words. Their voices echoed in his mind, their loving advice, their unfaltering belief in him, their last moments filled with courage and selflessness. A spark ignited within him. His mother's final words resonated strongly within him. Be strong, Hiroshi, she had said, her voice laced with both pain and conviction. Remember, you're an Uzumaki. You're strong, resilient. We love you. In the depths of despair, Hiroshi found a glimmer of hope, a path to follow. He would honor his parents' memory. He would fight, not for the leaf, but for himself, for his freedom, and to uncover the truth hidden beneath the leaf's lies. His journey was far from over. The obstacles ahead were formidable, but Hiroshi, the reborn Naruto Uzumaki, was ready to face them head-on. He might be a prisoner now, but he wouldn't remain one forever. He was not the Hidden Leaf's weapon. He was Hiroshi Uzumaki, and he would change his fate. With a newfound determination etched in his heart, Hiroshi steeled himself for the challenges that lay ahead. The Hidden Leaf's future was shrouded in darkness, but he would be the beacon of light to cut through the obscurity.